Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm Brendan Smith. I'm the Arts and Humanities Coordinator for the City of Takoma Park, and this is the latest event in our Takoma Park Arts series, which includes poetry readings, art exhibitions, film screenings, theater, concerts, dance, all kinds of good stuff. You can pick up a brochure on your way out if you didn't get one, or folks online can go to tacomaparkmd.gov/arts to sign up for our e-newsletter. Our next event is called an art exhibition opening reception on June 15th at 7:30 p.m. It's called Celebrating Sligo Creek, and it features two photographers and a mixed media artist who all are doing work sort of relating to, inspired by Sligo Creek. So you should come check that out. So we're excited tonight to have Claudia Gary, Brendan Kennedy, and Neha Misra here reading their work. Unfortunately, Pam Winters is sick, so she won't be here. And we'll have our Takoma Park's own Poet Laureate, Taylor Johnson, serving as MC, so he'll come up now. So thanks a lot for coming out tonight, everybody.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here again. Thank you, Brendan. This is our final poetry reading of the season, so it's really great to see y'all here. Thank you again for coming out. I'm going to start off with a poem by Major Jackson from an anthology called Black Nature, which was edited by Camille Dungy. This poem is called Migration. That summer, municipality was on everyone's lips, even the earth eaters who put the pastor in pastoral. Truth is, my zeal for chicory waned and my chest was damp. I shivered by a flagpole, knowing betrayal was coming my way. Just the same, I believed like a guitar string believes in distance, and addressed each bright star, Lord of my feet. A country of overnight deputies, everyone had a knot to endeavor. I read oaks and poplars for signs, charred branches, tobacco leaves strung up to die, swamp soil in my soul. Ever trace the outline of a phantom mob, even if you were late arriving? All right, now I'm going to introduce our first poet. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great anthology. I don't know if y'all have ever seen this. It's so good. I think it's been, published since 2009, so it's, 15 years at this point, something like that. Excellent book. All right. Our first poet is Brendan Edward Kennedy. Brendan Edward Kennedy is a poet, voiceover artist, and actor who studied poetry at the University of Maryland. He is also a company member of the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company in Baltimore. Welcome, Brendan.
Thank you all so much. Very happy to be here. This first poem is called To My Body. I have finally learned how to live in you after years of trying to get out. Those years of thinking you fatter than you are, mistaking your potential muscles for gelatin flab, cursing a belly that wasn't there, and starving for it. I remember your ribs showing through my t-shirts, how I made you sit hunched over, arms crossed over hip bones, looking gut-shot, trying to forget how to be hungry. I understand now. I understand you now, not as some terrible beast burdened with my terrible mind, but as a part of me. This flesh, blood, and bone, grown with a frame inherited from my father, a proud man's form honed to strength. I am here with you and of you, in front of my bedroom mirror, seeing how the lamp lays its light on our broad chest, our arms thick from lifting, our shoulders like mountains unto our neck, and our face calm, unfearing, and nourished. Thank you. I wrote that poem over a decade ago, and I've always dealt with some body dysmorphia. Thank you. Yeah, it's having a body is funny. And reading over it today, I was like, I've even grown since then, and I've had a new understanding of my body as I've aged. So, thank you. This next poem is a little more vulnerable. This is called To My Abuser. In the years of slowly growing back from what little you left of me, I found myself wishing you dead in dramatic fashion, tied up and trapped in your basement, burning, choking for breath, sobbing in the smoke-filled air, finally realizing what wounds your words and hands had worked upon me, and finding no pity as the pillars bearing all the floors above collapsed around you, and I, watching safely removed from your desolation, would laugh wickedly with a fade-out and credits rolling up on vengeance accomplished at last. Nothing at all like what your husband wrote in the obituary I found more than a year after you passed, silently in the early morning, after he read to you from your favorite Neil Gaiman novel, after months of unsuccessful chemotherapy, for the cancer that would take your strength and collapse both your lungs, leaving behind a grieving family and hosts of friends to mourn you barely past your 31st year. I too mourn the years of hollowness I tried to fill by hating you, all the revenge I dreamt up, unresolvable, pointless, the pain that never went away even when I stopped shrinking from the memory of the rope-tight grip you once had on me. And I mourn you, lifeless on a hospice bed, gone in a way I would not wish anyone to go. Thank you. Thank you. This next one is a little different. This one's called Wuja, about my longest friend. Wuja. My floppy pal of stubby beanbag legs, nonsense named for the cooing way my mother used to talk to things too cute for their own good. Dalmatian smudges on white, gone gray from many snuggling days. I carried you by the leg, your head on the floor of our many sleepovers at Grandma's. We never bothered to listen to her tut about boys not needing dolls. You are my brother, my longest confidant, my sometimes only friend. Soft, silent, understanding, the wordless language of tears wrung out of me by a world run by the bullies, as it was and always will be. Though I am grown, big-bodied, heavy-headed, large-armed, you let me lift you, weightless, from the special place you keep at my working desk, to press your matted furry ears where my chest is worn thinnest, so you hear my heart thumping like a child running, forth and back again through the rooms of his grandma's house. Thank you. This last one is for my older sister, Lauren. This is called Lauren and the R Word. She may be as tall as 1/4 of Shaq, but damn can my sister shoot a three-pointer. Every Wednesday night at the Y, she plays like a 24-year-old kid. She smiles, panting with rosy baby cheeks, dodges unseen opponents, fakes left, dribbles right, until at the last second she lines up the shot, hops a little hop, and gives the ball up to heaven. When Lauren was born, God loved her so much that he gave her the gift of one more chromosome, so she could have more of herself to share. So great was this gift that Mom wept, holding her baby in her hospital blankets, white with wondering, how can we make room? She is so much. How can we make room? So quietly, Dad kissed both their brows, prayed, put on his penny loafers, and built a house to house their gift. Soon it ballooned from a junk pile sanctuary to a 3-bed, 2-bath cathedral in the Bel Air suburbs. Her gift transcended those hallowed walls, poured out the windows into the school bus, the long one, where these other kids learned to love her the way God did. We loved her too, me and Megan, when we came along in 3 and 4 years' time. Soon we bore witness to her gift, that somewhere in her sunny almond eyes and her wild brook laugh there was something, some word that some kids said. Mom and Dad told us never to name it. It was a swear so sacred to know, so profane to utter, that we crammed it in a cardboard box, tied it in sellotape, and scrambled to find a place to hide it. But the thing is, Lauren knows it too. She just doesn't let it bother her. She shoots baskets every Wednesday night. A damn fine player, that girl. You can almost hear God saying, "You are perfect," in the whispering swish of the hoop. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Our next poet is Claudia Gary. Claudia Gary teaches poetry workshops at the Writers Center in Bethesda and is the author of several chapbooks and a full-length collection of poetry titled Humor Me. She is also a health science writer, a visual artist, and a composer of tonal chamber music and art songs. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Enjoyed your reading. I'm going to start with a series of poems called Reflections on a Nursing Home Survey. These are, each one is a short vignette on one person, and you'll see how they go along. I was involved in this survey for HHS for a couple of years, and probably will be doing it again. Reflections on a Nursing Home Survey. Fingernails. You answer all my questions, but I wonder about the curling fingernails you flaunt with an impish smile, waiting in vain for me to ask why you have let them grow until they prevent any possible sensation from your fingertips. Over-medicated. You wish you could spend more of the day awake, but never refuse a doctor's orders, since that's how you've survived, born in the deep South, enduring Jim Crow years. But if only you could speak with the pain doctor sometime soon, maybe. Overqualified. Your multiple degrees were not enough to keep you out of this windowless waste. But here you lie, with an ironic smile, ready for Socratic dialogue, pursuing occasional rays of light. Good Samaritan. They know you here already, you say, but you may as well tell me how many times you reported molestations against the disabled woman in the bed next to yours. Her mother has been grateful. There is no way to know how much longer it would have continued without you. Holocaust survivor. They pulled off my pants, you cry, now and then, in answer to various questions. Sometimes it makes sense in context, but not always. Which indignity was it? The ones in your youth in Eastern Europe, or those occurring now? You have your own room here. It's quiet. Physical therapy. You were all ready to work your way out of here with PT, but then along came COVID. You've waited a year for more PT. When will it end, you wonder aloud today? Double parked in half a room, with a curtain on one side, small window on the other. And finally, watercolorist. Though outlines are pre-printed, colors amid the gray enliven your walls, remind you to celebrate today, as calm brushstrokes enable your restless soul to stay. What lasts is what you've noticed, and how you've learned to play in vivid hues. Attention you've paid starts to repay its dividends in moments as past life falls away. Here, as you work, the loneliness surrenders to your art. Familiar pain retreats as you repaint your heart. So thank you. I found that the people who were doing artwork or some kind of creative work were thriving much better than anyone else. I'm going to read a couple of short poems about childhood, my childhood, and my mother was an artist, so. This first one is called Shading. Before making a mark, I broke 3 rules: snapping apart a darkly colored crayon, peeling 1/2 completely, 0 cover, abundant color, then turning it sideways to drag and swirl its width across the paper. Here was my shadow, yours, the universe without a star. Standing the crayon up, I drew stick figures. They too would need shadows. Finger paint. This kind of paint was only used in school, since we already knew too much. Mosaics, gold leaf, tracing, creating plaster casts of hands and feet when we went to the beach. Connect the dots, coloring, sewing cards, and finger paint, those were just busy work. Mother knew art, and I knew it was magic. And one more in that series called Beach Mosaic. After they cracked beneath my feet in wet brown sugar sand, I dropped them in the color pail. White as my fresh new teeth, tan as my summer face and hand, smooth as a new filed fingernail. Blue as my eyes or brown as our hair, these were for Mommy's mosaic. I know now she thought hard but also lightly about where to place them so she'd make the shape of every shard cling to a lovely pattern, not too simple or complex or obvious, but still detectable. And what she taught without a word or text merged with the ocean's thrill. Thank you. Now I'll read something, this is a little more topical. This is called The Gate Reopens, although it also starts in childhood. The Gate Reopens. My father taught me not to fear a moment of forgetting. If it's important, he said, you will remember it. With Mom and me, he watched on black and white TV, families divided by barbed wire as the Berlin Wall went up. No sooner did it fall than he was on a plane. He would cross Checkpoint Charlie, walk through the Brandenburg Gate, bring us back shards of concrete, spray-painted and demolished, fluorescent green graffiti words, divided, not forgotten. So I'm going to read just a couple of poems from each of my books, which I brought. This is called Humor Me. It's from 2006. Etude. And this one is more or less about music. Etude. These sounds are only fragments of the dark, not music, never that. Not even variations on the noon whose fever they help dissipate. Here is a careless breeze grown to a gust and wrestled back, a flapping gate, whose stroke and tap contain and lose the quiet, the hum of a passing engine. And yet I seem to coax them into phrases that start and end an echo, assigning measures to the engine's drone, giving the gate staccato. As phrases they can modulate in turn. The wind becomes a dolorous sigh that doesn't leave when fever's broken, though music will possess, reject, possess me and reject me finally, until there is no melody but one. And this one is called The Topiarist. It's of Villanelle. The Topiarist. Out of a stately helical display of shrubbery, new leaves poke into view. The topiarist has been called away, or so I hope. Maybe his mind's astray, letting once hidden branches reach askew out of a stately helical display. Dignified structures spiked with disarray regress to common unschooled English you. The topiarist has been called away to shape his own life, and his protege has found its sense of humor. Look what grew out of a stately helical display. Stalks make alarming gestures as they sway in wind, claiming the recognition due the topiarist. He's been called away, and suddenly each leaf's on holiday. A gentle spiral yields to curlicue out of a stately helix. Let us play. The topiarist has been called away. Thank you. This next one is from my a chapbook called The Bikini Buyer's Remorse. And it's all humorous poems. The first one is Long Distance. It's also a villanelle. He's talking to his girlfriend on the phone beside a whirling, wheezing cappuccino machine. He never has to feel alone. Eliciting an unexpected moan was more than he had hoped. But what did he know? When talking to his girlfriend on the phone, there is no need for florid pheromone, no risk of rearranging the amino. Machines can neither make him feel alone nor cure him if he does. He's on his own. Closing his eyes, he senses a neutrino is passing through his girlfriend and her phone. She isn't here, though her location's known. Embracing now a paradox of Zeno and needing no machines to feel alone, he wanders as a cloud, but in the zone. He's neither here nor there, so how do we know he's talking to his girlfriend on the phone? Even machines can tell he's not alone. Thank you. And then this is a sort of follow-up. It's just a 4-line poem, Video Call. You are not here. I am not there. You try and fail to muss my hair. To no avail we stare and stare till eyes go blear. It's so unfair. FaceTime. This is called an F word. My ears are ringing. Did you say forever? Oh, how dare you! I would have said it first, but I didn't want to scare you. And then next I'll read something from Let's Get Out of Here, a later chapbook. I'll just read one poem. This is about White's Ferry, which you may have read about or maybe traveled. It's between Loudoun County and Poolesville, Maryland. And I hope it reopens someday soon. It's been caught in politics. A late crossing. Out on the river's middle, where I hear and feel nothing for several milliseconds, despite the purring ferry motor's call to consciousness as usual, he floats. Time, with a fishing pole, taking a breather as far as possible from anyone. No matter that the fish are sparse or nervous or indifferent, no matter that the pull, the line's awakening, has not arrived all afternoon, he's out there with a hook, a lure, a sinker, and nothing to lose. He loses it. It skips over the smooth Potomac surface, vaults through my car window, settles on me. The ferryman approaches. He wants my ticket. There's a jolt, a rumble, as other drivers reignite their engines. Time has returned from break, and I'm amazed to see I've still got nothing. Thank you. Well, one more villanelle. This is from Epicurograms. I've scribbled all over this cover. I have copies, fresh copies of these, if anyone wants to buy them. This is called Blues Manqué. I've suffered, but I can't quite sing the blues. My troubles are occasional, not chronic. My angst is true, but not the kind you'd use against the everyday to find or lose your heart. My chords are major and harmonic. I've suffered, but I don't dare sing the blues. Any attempt would probably amuse, but not in ways your songs have made iconic. Your angst is true, while mine's nothing to use in threatening to blow a major fuse or skip to Paris on the supersonic. I've not suffered enough to sing the blues. Saying I have is asking for a bruise. You'll throw tomatoes. They'll be hydroponic. This angst is true, but nothing I can use to make you say mine is the pain you'd choose. The plates I spin are porcelain, not tectonic. I suffer from a need to sing the blues with insufficient angst, too kind to use. Thank you, thank you. And then I'm going to just read one poem from Genetic Revisionism, which is my most recent chapbook. And this is called The Upload, and it is about AI. And then it's followed by a little limerick, which actually doesn't, it goes with it, but it's not part of the same poem. So The Upload. 1, December Thoughts. This starts with a quote by I.J. Good, reconsidering his optimism about artificial intelligence in 1998. He said, "We are lemmings." December Thoughts. How eager now we are to pile into the maw of the new year, with music bites and photo file arranged so that we most appear content, each minor loss or gain displayed across the clothes we wear. A pixel shift deletes a stain. Without a stitch, we mend each tear. Synthesized voices, data, fill the drawers and shelves of a memory. We're ready for their overspill into next year's cacophony. Why not today? Why not today, so fresh and clean, climb also into the machine? And then part 2, Singularity. It also has an epigraph. This is from James Barrett's book, Our Final Invention, which came out more than 10 years ago. During the technological singularity, when we humans share the planet with smarter than human intelligence, Ray Kurzweil proposes that we'll merge with the machines, ensuring our survival. Singularity. Preparing the big upload, they queried each electrode. Are you there, they seemed to say? But my neurons backed away from the gropings of the digital. How much longer, old original? And then finally, this is a limerick called Kurzweil's Conundrum. There was once an inventor named Ray who so wanted to lengthen his stay that his brain booked a trip on a silicon chip in a cyborg. But Ray, he's away. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Our final poet this evening is Neha Misra. Neha Misra is a first-generation immigrant poet, contemporary eco-folk artist, and award-winning climate justice advocate. Her multidisciplinary earth wisdom-centered creative studio uses the transformative powers of art to build bridges between our private, collective, and planetary healing. Welcome, Neha.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Neha. Neha means love in Sanskrit, which is the language of my ancestors, and that I particularly associate with my grandmother, who was a Sanskrit scholar. And I feel, as I was sitting and listening to the poems, I thought, what is all life but poetry of love and love of poetry? So here to share love with you, and I really appreciate each one of you for joining us this evening amongst multitude of things you could be doing in this galaxy. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Brandon and Claudia, for such wonderful readings, and Taylor for opening us with that really, really powerful piece. So as Taylor said in the intro, I'm a first-generation immigrant, and our theme today is Wellspring of Poetry, and it is part of the Healing Power of Art series at the Takoma Park Community Center. So the poems I've selected are all connected to healing, and healing in context of both our inner and outer geographies. And all of these poems that I share with you, they were born in my immigrant life in this area. So they are particularly meaningful for me as they have been part of my healing through seismic losses and also seismic healing. So this very first poem I want to share with you, I wrote it at a takeaway counter in Rockville a few years ago. It started with a question which is seemingly innocent or naive or very loaded, depending on who you are. It's called, "Where are you from?" The lady behind the restaurant counter asked me, without a comma, "You look lovely this afternoon, where are you from?" As always, I fumble for a response to these 4 words, for is loveliness and where I'm from related? I fumble for the first geographical wave that comes to mind, and it does, depending on my mood, time of the day, and the season. For where am I from? I am from this ground I'm standing on. I'm here now, I'm from here. I'm from my blue bedroom, I'm from my white kitchen, I'm from the green study, I'm from the lemon bathroom, I'm from the white living room, I'm from the side street, I'm from the progressive county, I'm from the green city, I am from this greatest country on earth. But wait, this is my adopted home, so I must belong to where I came from. So let's try again. Ask me. I am from that ancient country. I am from that mythical state. I am from that dusty city. I am from that revolutionary county. I am from that main road. I am from the plot where my parents' house still stands. I am from that tall building that I called home before I grew my wings and flew far, far away. I am from my parents' house on the 6th floor. I am from the house number 64. I am from that brown living room. I am from that sea green bathroom. I am from that blue study. I am from my mother's gray kitchen. I am from my pink bedroom where stuffed toys are still lined up. I am from that ground I stood on then. I was there then. I was from there then. But I am here now, here in a very precise space, square footage, taken by my pink shoes. So, ask me again. I am from where my parents spent their childhoods. I am from where my mother, as little girl, played on a banyan tree swing. I am from the house from whose roof my father fell as a 3-year-old child, unharmed from what the eyes can see at least. So, ask me again. I am from where I am right now, like a magical tree that grows new roots, wherever you may uproot and place it. I am from here. I am from everywhere I have been to. I am from everywhere I will go to. I am from the human ocean, from the mammal ocean, the living ocean, the non-living ocean, the stardust that we all share. Yes, I am from the stars. Thank you so much for receiving. And this next poem I want to share with you, it was born this May, so it's a poem toddler, but with a very big purpose and imprint and birth story. I wrote it because I was invited to share eco poetry that is a big part of my creative practice for the opening of Smithsonian Anacostia Museum's current exhibit, To Live and Breathe, which is about women and environmental justice in the Washington, D.C. area. And it's particularly about women and color and the contributions and struggles of women of color in our area to the climate justice, environmental justice movement. So I highly, highly recommend it if you get a chance. It's the exhibition is on till January of 2024. Please check it out. It's so powerful. And so this poem is my ode to live and breathe. It's called Questions We Must Ask to Live and Breathe. Who gets breathless views and whose breath is taken? Who is counting windfall profits and whose wind is carrying pollution? Who gets to lightheartedly live and whose loud wails do they refuse to believe? Whose lungs are getting suffocated? Whose lungs are getting suffocated by soot and who gets to pontificate in suits? Whose ferociously soft pace is healing Mother Earth, and whose petro-machoisma is dreaming of colonizing outer space? Whose seed plantings will reap vivacious fruits from an ancient clay, and whose false green promises will catch up with their karmic plate? So this next poem was written in response to a beautiful art piece I saw at the Phillips Collection. And it is my response to this art piece by an elder who's local to the area. It just spoke to me in so many ways. This is called Great Migrations. This body, the living parchment of purged migrations. This body, the living parchment of purged migrations etched in colored viscosities. This body, each mark of love, each accidental scratch, each healing bruise, the rouge of you. This body, each gasp, each sigh, each adversity, the verse of you. This body, each newborn, each broken wing, each abridged thigh, a bridge of you. This body, the natural alien of shifting continental shelves. This body no longer in exile. This body remerging with lost and found maps of soul and mind. This body hereby declares that it will bear true allegiance to Mother Earth body. This body celebrates finally becoming a citizen of herself. And then finally, this poem I want to share with you. I call it my climate epic poem. It's very close to my heart and my life's work because it was commissioned by a Maryland-based dance company called Mad Dance, and its formation was supported by a creativity grant from the Maryland State Arts Council, and we performed it at the Y Center in Frederick last year, and we just had 2 performances this year supported by the Frederick Arts Council. It was a beautiful weaving of this poem and the 4 artists that came together, these 2 beautiful dancers, Kitty and Ray, Cam Miller, who is a wonderful musician. They all wove poetry and dance and music and Earth's heartbeats and sounds of birds and nature together in this beautiful mirror-surrounded room. So why this is so important to me is because it's called Portals of Transformation. It's about multiple crises our world is going through: ecological crises, racial crisis. We are going through the climate emergency, public health crises that are not separated. So it is a call to respond to that. So I present to you Portals of Transformation. A portal is an edge. A portal is an edge between before and after, life and death, past and present, continuation and dissolution, universe and metaverse, end and beginning. Through the rites of passages of these liminal times, we pass the betwixt and between of unprecedented elementary changes to enter the portals of transformation. 1, regrounding our earth bodies, where we have forgotten that our bodies, first shaped from rain-soaked mud, are a part of Mother Earth. We dance to the rhythm of recall. We dance to the rhythm of recall, acknowledging that the holy ground beneath our feet, all her beings and we come from the very same seeds. Where an inheritance of greed has slow poisoned our emerald green forest while domesticating our own purple wilderness, we join our iridescent hands to sing songs of healing, our vibrations cleansing the living excavations of disease cells in and all around us. Where desolate concrete highways have suffocated Mother Earth's mouth with their violent hands, we sew new hemlines of milkweed meadows by the roadside, our butterfly messengers softly inviting the soul back to the soil. 2, reviving our air passages, where air is thick with mass of anger on troubled faces filled with bottled up grief. We plant symphony gardens of wailing blue wind chimes where all the held up tears finally arrive to meet and greet. Where heavy, lustful, metallic smoke that we released has sallowed the skin of birds, bees, trees, and children yet to be, we become alchemists of compassion, ensuring that the breath of life is never again shriveled because of how we choose to live. where we have lost the art of listening to whistling of breeze, music of trees, and pulses of strangers. We reread the script of silence that already knows where, how, and when our ears and heartbeats travel so far apart. 3, rekindling our sacred fire. Where suppressed small fires have grown into ferocious wildfires filled with wiggly, thirsty tongues and vengeful teeth, we bow. We bow in humility to exiled keepers of ceremonial fires, now tending freely to their flame teachers and teaching us too. Where we have raised farther and farther and farther from blazing Father Sun, his DNA memory alive in our shaky vitamin D deficient bones, we shed our plastic shells. We shed our plastic shells, we open our dusty windows and invite sun's power to recharge our temporary homes. Where extreme heat of planetary self-immolation is scorching us and the only home we have ever known, we gather. We gather around crackling fires, our intimate story circles, emulating nature's abundance that knows how to witness and be witnessed through such burns. 4, remembering our water being. Where drought has cracked open ocean's descendant skin, passed across the maps of our thirsty lands, we plant an oasis of restoration, remerging rainwater with the welcoming cups of our beloved hands. Where tsunami's belly roars between the haunting losses of the past and tremors definitely knocking and knocking and knocking towards us from the future, we build with utmost care for those shaken by bygone storms and the inevitable storms that lie ahead of us. Where overdrained water is making the ground sink, even as seawater continues to rise, and rise, we stop our civilization's ritualized addiction to mutilation, mining, murder of people and planet. 5, renewing our whole spirits. Where we sit bewildered, helpless because so much has already been lost, we decompose our lamentations. We decompose our lamentations into compositions of hope and enchantment. Where arrogant pursuit of independence has fractured our relations to each other and our kin in the natural world, we rewrite a new vocabulary of coexistence, honoring the web of life in its fractal wholeness. Where we have been trying to change the world without changing ourselves, while holding a magnifying glass on other people's faults, we look inside our own mirrors. We look inside our own mirrors where our delusion of separation melts into a shared blanket of replenished life for all. Through these elementary portals of transformation, we make the long journey back home to return to ourselves and to each other. How we choose to live now, our prayer of collective survival. How we mend now, our new pilgrim path. How we embody change now, our salvation and our liberation. Yes, this is our open secret. The portal is us. The portal is us. The portal is us. Thank you so much for portal traveling with us this evening. Appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neha. I'm gonna close out with a poem by Lucille Clifton, and then I figured, Brandon, if we have enough time, can I read one of my poems? You think that's cool? Cool, right on. Thank y'all again for joining us this season. Yeah, it's just a pleasure to see people come out for poetry on a Thursday evening on a monthly basis. That's very cool. And if you dig it, my wife and I are actually starting a series at People's Books starting July 2nd, which is the first Sunday of July at 5 p.m. We can talk to me and Elizabeth over there about it more if you want to learn more about it. And I hope to see y'all there. It's free also, and luckily it doesn't conflict with this series, which is very cool. All right, so I'll just read this Lucille Clifton poem, then I'll read a poem of my own. Surely I am able to write poems celebrating grass and how the blue in the sky can flow green or red, and the waters lean against the Chesapeake shore like a familiar. Poems about nature and landscape, surely. But whenever I begin, the trees wave their knotted branches, and why is there under that poem always an other poem? Lucille Clifton was the poet laureate of Maryland for some time. She was the third poet laureate of Maryland. Taught at, what's it, St. Mary's? Yeah, that's right. I'll read a poem of mine. Let us now praise bird song, for by morning it plays slant the common air, for it calls to itself from a hollow vessel, for it warns and beautifies unknowingly, for it commands the day to undress from its night shirt, for it is yet tired of the old refrain, for it resonates and bends around wood, for it rests in wood, for it is thus amplified by the torque of branches, for it counsels from a great distance, for it is about desire, for without applause it daily mounts the wind, for it thinks in green, for it unfolds each petal, for I will never know, for the bird is a humble craft. I stared into a robin's ancient eye. Why not sing? Thanks, y'all.